Still waiting. And finally, not finally, but a special treat tonight, Robert. I have a movie trailer that really revolutionized basically the
Cinema.
whole film industry of cinema. And you've mentioned this trailer before, and I'm wearing this great shirt that you've given me. Thank you. And
You're
this is the
welcome.
trailer for Jaws the Revenge, incorrectly referred to as Jaws for the Revenge. It's just Jaws the Revenge.
And I used to know it as Jaws 87.
Explain that again because this is interesting.
That was the title, and even there's Entertainment Tonight had stories, and it was called Jaws 87. So it was kind of time, where they had Airport 77, Airport 79. This was
Yeah.
called Jaws 87
Oh,
because I think they were trying to get away from more sequels, but then they decided to. Obviously, they didn't use a number in the new title either, so they
yeah.
probably didn't want to date it. But yeah, you can still find Jaws 87 stuff.
That's so cool. And you did see Jaws, the Revenge theatrically?
I did, and I've talked about this before. I remember that weekend, I had a choice to opening night of Jaws: The Revenge or a sneak preview of The Lost Boys,
Oh, how would you know though?
and it might have been reversed. But anyway, I just know it was those two options, and I chose Jaws: The Revenge.
But
I
how would you know?
no, I was like, oh, Lorraine Gary is coming back, and
Yeah.
yeah, how bad can this be?
And didn't you recognize because the font is noticeably different?
Yeah, the font is not right. It's like it's not curly Q font, but I'm like, what? This is not. And the opening sequence, the camera keeps going up and down the water, and even like within the first 30 seconds, you're like, I think we should have chosen Lost Boys, But
The Lost Boys.
oh shoot, but
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
but you haven't seen the trailer in a while, so
All right, well, this will be a special treat for ourselves and for you guys listening out there. So this is Jaws the Revenge.
Instinctively, man has always been drawn to the sea. Its beauty, its mystery, its secrets. But there is also a vague uncertainty, a sense of intrusion into an alien world, where man is unwelcome and completely at the mercy of the most terrifying predator on Earth. Man's deepest fear has risen again. Jaws, the Revenge. This time, it's personal.
Keep in mind, in the trailer, there's no image of a shark really. None of the
right,
characters,
yeah,
and
right
it's
at the
a
very
30
end,
sec
yeah,
at the very end. It's a
and
30 second underwater camera.
none of that footage is actually in the film, I think. Um,
No, it's not. That's
I
another
think
thing.
one half a second part, but it almost reminded me of like early Alien 3 um, trailers, which alluded that we're going to Earth, and it
Good
could be it's
call.
yeah, it was. I think it's the same. For listeners, for a while, it was the same guy that narrated every trailer, so it's
Yeah, that
always
guy that they did like documentaries on because of
yeah,
that
that
voice.
in a time, would always start that way. So, but yeah, I was like, ooh, another Jaws. Come on, yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. Let's
Yeah,
do it. I mean, this time it's personal. What I love about the trailer is they're reading the font on the screen, like man's deepest fear is coming true or whatever. And I'm like, okay, you're reading. I can read it too. Like you pick one in trailers typically. You don't
yeah,
do both. It's amazing.
yeah. And
Makes me want to watch it again.
your shirt has a different tagline, which is interesting. So,
Yes, this
uh,
tagline is man's deepest fear has risen again. And if
yeah,
you look at it, you can Google it too, folks. The artwork of Lorraine Gary stand-in, and it's almost like a Moby Dick thing. So Jaws: The Revenge is amazing.
it is. And I saw obviously there was a theatrical version, which is different than the video version that came out later. Which now I think
Mm-hmm.
the DVDs and Blu-rays have both. But yeah, my version had a character not surviving, and I think now I mix them up. So they literally just use the exact same 10 seconds of the shark dying from the original Jaws.
Oh, they just like loop it in there.
Yeah, it's like literally the when the dead shark is floating down to it is the same.
Yeah, you can see
It's
like the stick and it's supposed to be the
yeah,
bone and the
yeah, no,
yeah.
it's exactly the same from the original Jaws, and
It's
people were
amazing.
like, because I think I remember I was like, is that? I'm like, no, they wouldn't do that, but
And they did.
they did. So
It's cool. You know what's bad about Jaws: The Revenge is like for me, Jaws 3 is bad, but I'll watch it every year because it's fun.
it's fun.
Jaws Revenge, I don't ever revisit. It's like bad. It's got Michael Caine, and I mean, there's some good actors in it. They just couldn't do anything for the movie.
Yeah, I was trying to think. There's the banana boat scene is fine.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
kind of the key scene. But otherwise, and at the time, later people are like, how did it swim all the way to Bahamas so quickly? And when you're watching the movie, I didn't really think about that. But we just knew it followed her down. But
Yeah, it got like 3,500 nautical miles in a day or so. It's pretty amazing.
it's a lean, mean shark.
And comedians have done stand-up bits on this before, where you just don't go in the water. You don't need to move to another country to avoid the shark.
And I think I did watch it recently because I think I was looking at the ending because when they put the new ending scenes back on, it is quite obviously when the boat kind of begins to turn over, the stunt people's faces are clear as day. This is not Lorraine Gary or Michael Caine.
Yeah.
It was just like bad wigs, and I'm like, oh, I think we could have either done a different shot or
Right. It reminds me of the one Friday the 13th where she falls out the window and you see the stunt guy.
Yes.
Which is that 4?
Part 7. Yeah.
7.
With the bad wig. Just
just falling down.
And there's here's the thing. The Bahamas, super blue water, whatever, and then they cut Universal Studio Tank, and it's like,
oh yeah,
it's different film stock. The water is dark and a different sky, and I'm like, you can't even match it.
You can't even match it. And I mean, and the film stock is amazing because you can see, you're like, this is not even the same. This is like 35 millimeter versus some kind of other.
Yeah.
It's like so bizarre.
Universal's like, you get 16 millimeter for the reshoots.
Yeah, this is what you're getting.
That's all we can afford. So it's kind of a shame on Universal that this is your property. You should have a little bit more respect for it.
I think they should have.